श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौनिताय की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। शील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavatiruttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtike. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, Text 25. Okay. Tatah katipayamasair vrishni bhojandhakadayah यूयः प्रभासं संसृष्टा रथैर्देव विमोहितः. So we don't have it here actually. Okay, I'll repeat thrice and then those who have cell phone. Yeah, exactly. We'll go to the next verse. Yeah. ततः कतिपैर्यमासैर्वैर् वृष्णि भोजान्धकादयः यूयः प्रभासं संस्तृष्टा रथैर्देव विमोहितः. So translation, and this translation for this verse by Srila Prabhupada. Tatah, thereafter, Katiparyaya, a few, Masai, months passing, Vrishni, the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, the descendants of Bhoja, Andhaka Adayaha, and the others, like the sons of Andhaka, Yayuhu, went, Prabhasam, the place of pilgrimage named Prabhasa, Samrishtaha, with great pleasure, Rathair, on their chariots, Deva, by Krishna, Vimohitaha, bewildered. Translation. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja, and Andhaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasa, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwarka. Text 26. Yeah. Go to the next text, please. Yeah. तत्र स्नात्वा पितृदेवान् ऋष्मिश्चैव तदाम्भसा तर्पयित्वाथ विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. So we try to repeat. तत्र स्नाता पितान् देवान् ऋष्मिश्चैव तदाम्भसा तर्पयित्वाथ विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. Somebody would like to repeat? तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसा तर्पयित्वा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसा तर्पयित्वा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसा तर्पयित्वा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसान् तर्पयित्वा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. Mataji. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. तत्र स्नात्वा पितॄन् देवान् वृष्णिश्चैव तदाम्भसा विप्रेभ्यो गावो बहुगुणा ददुः. तत्र there snatva by taking bath pitrun forefathers devan demigods rishin great sages cha also eva certainly tat of that ambhasa by the water tarpayitva by pleasing atha thereupon viprebhyah unto the brahmanas gavaha cows bahugunaha greatly useful daduhu gave in charity. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the brahmanas in royal charity. Purport. Amongst the devotees of the Lord, there are several divisions, mainly Nitya Siddhas and Sadhana Siddhas. The Nitya Siddha devotees never fall down to the region of material atmosphere, even though they sometimes come onto the material plane to execute the mission of the Lord. The Sadhana Siddha devotees are chosen from the conditioned souls. Out of the sadhana devotees, there are mixed and pure devotees. The mixed devotees are sometimes enthusiastic about fruitive activities and are habituated to philosophical speculation. The pure devotees are free from all these mixtures and are completely absorbed in the service of the Lord, regardless of how and where they are situated. Pure devotees of the Lord are not enthusiastic to put aside their service to the Lord in order to go visit holy places of pilgrimage. A great devotee of the Lord in modern times, Shri Narottam Das Thakur, has sung like this: to visit holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to the Lord at any place is the last word in spiritual perfection. For pure devotees of the Lord, who are completely satisfied with the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is hardly any necessity to visit the various places of pilgrimage. But those who are not so advanced have the prescribed duties of visiting pilgrimage sites and regularly performing the rituals. The part of the princely order of the Yadu dynasty who went to Prabhas performed all duties to be done in a place of pilgrimage and offered their pious activities to their forefathers and others. As a rule, every human being is indebted to God, the demigods, great sages, other living entities, people in general, forefathers, etc., for various contributions received from them. Thus, everyone is obliged to repay the debt of gratitude. The Yadus who went to the Prabhas pilgrimage site performed their duties by distributing land, gold, and well nourished cows in royal charity, as described in the following verse. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Stvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So we see we are at a juncture where Uddhava is describing Vidura, Lord's pastimes, and in this section he is describing the winding up pastimes, how Lord decided to wind up whole Yadu dynasty. So in yesterday's verse, we heard beautifully from Naikatma Prabhu how the Krishna orchestrated a Vaishnava Aprad to be the cause of their destruction. So from today's verse till next couple of verses, Uddhava is describing these exact what happened at Prabhas, in detail. So in today's verse, we'll see four things. Prabhupada, mentions this. So first, Prabhupada is describing the difference between Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha, different levels of devotees. Second point, he is mentioning about the Vedic injunctions of visiting pilgrimage places. And then the third point, he is mentioning about how this everybody is indebted to give in return for the debt we have. So that's in the last para is mentioning. And then the fourth point we'll discuss is in the life of a sadhaka, how these points are relevant today. Okay. The first thing about, Prabhupada mentions that there are several divisions, mainly Nitya Siddhas and Sadhana Siddhas. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya is describing to Sanatana Goswami, this he describes in detail this Atmaram verse, and in there he comes even he describes that how there is a main division about Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha, and then each one how they get categorized four times each. So those who want to do little more study, they can go in detail. It's in-depth description there. But in general, there are three ways a person gets liberation, person makes his life successful. First, those who are already successful, they're called as Nitya Siddhas. Second, those who perform prescribed devotional service. So through sadhana, they become perfect. Those are known as sadhana siddhas. And third is kripa siddhas. Prabhupada mentions that in the purport of the verse, Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Adi Lila, 1.8, I guess. In that purport, he mentions that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself is referring him as a Krupa Siddha, that he says, without the mercy of Lord, I cannot write this, magnum opus of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in this purport specifically, amongst these three, Prabhupada is mentioning about Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha. So there is a beautiful story, again in Chaitanya Charitamrita, wherein when Lord was visiting the temple of Sakshi Gopal, he inquires from Nityanand Prabhu and devotees there that why this deity is called as Sakshi Gopal. And then, the devotees, they describe him that how once in the place known as Vidyanagar, there were two Brahmanas and they wanted to go for a pilgrimage. Because that's the Vedic injunction, as Prabhupada mentioned in this purport later. So when they're traveling, so this one was old Brahman, he was very aristocratic, very rich. And then another Brahman was poor, he was young. So this young Brahman, out of a sense of a duty and as a helping nature, he helped this old Brahman throughout his journey, and they went to different holy places. Then finally they went to Mathura, Vrindavan, and then near the Govind Kund there was a beautiful temple of Sri Gopal. So there the old Brahman, he was so much pleased with the help this young Brahman had done. He says that once we return back to Vidyanagar, I have a young daughter. I would like to offer you as wife. So this young Brahman, knowing the reality, he says, it's not possible. You are very rich. I am a poor person, and this is not suitable match. But the old Brahman says, no, I am father of her. So she's my property. I can give her, in charity, whoever I want. So, in marriage they call it, Kanya Dan, right? The daughter is given in charity, right? So then this young Brahman says, okay, if that's your desire, please say in front of Lord Gopal that you want to do this, and let Lord Gopal be our witness. So the old Brahman and young Brahman, both they agreed. They go in front of deity and they say, the old Brahman says, I want to offer my daughter to this young Brahman. And then, the return pilgrimage continues. They come to, Vidyanagar place. So basically this Vidyanagar is near Jagannath Puri. Mathura is all the way up, like in India, North India. Those days there were no flights, no inns, no motels. They had to walk through, forest. So it's quite a bit of a time, span, month or two, to go and come back. So they came back, and after some days, this old Brahmin, because he was a genuine, he told his sons that this particular young Brahmin, he helped me a lot, so I wanted to offer him my daughter as his wife. So the son of this young Brahman, old Brahman, he says, are you mad? He's such a poor fellow, people will laugh at us at this match. So this young fellow was concerned about his own reputation than the word which his father had given. And then he says, the old Brahman says, no, but I told in front of deities. So he said, you just say that, I forgot what I said, rest I will take care. The same way we say that, Rukmini Mata, she was meant for Lord Krishna, but Rukmi said, no, Shishupal. So, his father, he was helpless. So same way, the same case with this old Brahman. So, in next few days, this young Brahman, he came and he says, oh, old Brahman, as you promised, please give me your daughter in marriage. So this brother, he comes out with a stick and he starts beating him. He said, my father was going on pilgrimage. He had a lot of money and you stole all his money. You fed him some, intoxicant like, Sisi is such a detailed, beautiful scripture. They even mention the name. He says, you fed him a dhatura, and because of which he got intoxicated. And, you are now saying that, give his daughter, just run away, So this young Brahman goes. But then he was also not so easy to give up. He calls everybody from that village. That was the system, that there were no courts. And then he says, okay, this old Brahman had promised me, but now he is going against because of fear from his son. And this son says, if you get her married to this man, we'll drink poison and we'll die. Because this is against our reputation. See, so much for one's own ego. And then this, the whole, they used to call panchayat, the people of the village, they ask, was there any witness? And this young Brahman said, yes, Gopalji was witness. Then this young Brahman son, he said, okay, if Gopalji comes here and gives the witness, I'll allow my sister to marry you. Because this guy was actually atheist. He thought, how the deity will come, It's just not possible, right? But this young Brahman was, same determined. Prabhupada mentions that actually he was not determined to get a wife, but he was determined to protect the word of honor which this old Brahman had given in front of deity. So he walks again a couple of months to Mathura. He goes to Vrindavan and tells Gopalji that, you were the witness. Kindly come now. So Gopalji says that, but how can I come? I am deity, I cannot walk. So he said, you can talk, then you can walk. So please come. So then Gopalji says, okay, fine. He says that, okay, I'll walk behind you. You will hear the sound of my ankle bells. So just don't look back. And then every day, you see, the devotees are so in detail described. They say that every day you offer me bhoga of 1 kilo rice. So you cook 1 kilo rice, offer it to me every day. Because I'll be hungry, right, while walking. This is the beauty of bhakti. Everything is so personal. And then this Brahmana agrees, is very happy. And then he starts walking every day offering, and he's hearing, tinkle bells. So when they come on the outskirts of Vidyanagar, this young Brahman thinks that I need to now get everybody, right, to tell that Lord has come. So then he turns back and he says, Lord, you please wait here. I'll bring everyone. And then Lord says, that's fine. And then he goes in the village, he calls everyone, and everybody comes. Oh, DT has come. That was the news of a town, right? If suppose tomorrow, somebody in Artesia, they say Dwarkadish has come there, we all will rush there, right? First of all, of course, devotee won't allow them, but so so when all the devotees come, the old Brahman says that Gopal, please give the witness, and then Gopalji says, yes, this old Brahman had promised, and then they get married. So that time, Lord Gopal, he speaks to these two Brahmans. He said, both of you are my eternal devotees. Nitya Siddhas. So Prabhupada is right in purport that these two Brahmans, they were Nitya Siddhas, but they took birth and they took all this trouble to go back and forth, run around on the pretext of getting a wife. Why? To glorify that how Krishna in the form of Gopal can leave his place and come to other place to bear the witness. So as Prabhupada is mentioning, there's this Nitya Siddha devotees, though they are eternally liberated, they sometimes come to this material world and take all the trouble, all the headache to deal with conditioned souls. Why? There is a plan of Lord. Lord wants to perform some pastime so that everybody gets attracted to him. So that is the first category. Now the second category is sadhana siddhas. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, the previous verse, translation, Prabhupada mentioning that those who went to Prabhas, many of them, they were demigods. So this is one category in the sadhana siddhas. That they know Krishna is supreme, they know they have to perform devotional service, but sometimes, let's go to Venus Beach, let's go to Hollywood, some other, not for Harinam, devotees go there for Harinam, but to enjoy separately. And that's the problem. When it happens, then immediately Mayadev is there. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavancha kare nikatastha maya tare jhapatiya dhare. Like immediately grabs. So that is the second category. So these devotees who went to Prabhas, they were under this mixed category. Now sometimes Srila Prabhupada has given us the highest, that to perform unalloyed devotional service. So when we read this, we say, oh, Dwarkavasis, they went to Prabhas, they got killed. But actually their position is very, very high. They associate with Krishna. We don't have to misunderstand. Rather, Krishna is teaching us through them. Another thing, pastimes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, father and uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami, Hiranya and Govardhan Majumdar, right? They were devotees. Rather, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on one of the Ekadashi day, when he was a baby, Nimai, he was crying a lot. And that time, nobody could stop him. So he says, okay, go and bring me prasadam offered in the house of Hiranya and Jagadish Majumdar. And they get the prasad, and then Lord, takes that. So, but through their life, Lord wanted to teach how this mixed devotion, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't appreciate. So, Raghunath Das Goswami, when he left and he joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, Lord Chaitanya says that your father and uncle, they are like worm in the stool. Can you imagine? Why? Because Lord Chaitanya came here to give us that unalloyed devotional service which will bring us to this pure devotional platform. So anything less than that, gone. They were devotees. They were worshipping Lord Krishna. They were giving charity. So they were devotees, right? But what Lord called them? Worms in the stool in the material existence. So we need to appreciate what Srila Prabhupada has given us. This is the pure devotional service, through the sadhana bhakti, Srila Prabhupada has made us available, And then the next point is about, the travel to pilgrimages. So Vedas, it is such a body of knowledge, is whatever level you are, however degraded you are, there is a place for you. There is a place for you, and there is a path how you can go up from that level up to pure devotional service and going back to spiritual world. So those who are materialistic, Vedas tell, you are doing so much sin, go to pilgrim places, take bath in Ganges, all your sins will get destroyed, you will go to heaven to enjoy further. So they say, oh, very nice, and they go to take bath in Ganges. Right? But for a devotee, here Prabhupada is quoting Narottam Das Thakur, he says, it is a waste of time. So this comes Narottam Das Thakur's Prema Bhakti Chandrika, in that Anya Abhilasha Chhadi, that is the Vaishnava song. In that Narottam Das Thakur writes, Tirtha Yatra Parishrama Kevala Manera Brahma Sarva Siddhi Govinda Charana Sudruda Vishwasa Kori Mada Matsarya Parihari Sada Karo Ananya Bhajana. So he's saying this Tirtha Yatra Parishrama, this going to pilgrimage is waste of time. Oh, but just now you mentioned, Vedas say go to pilgrimage. So this is, he's taking one level up. Don't worry about your all this Papa, Punya and all those nonsense. Kevala Manera Brahma, it is all the bewilderment of mind. So what you should do? Sarva Siddhi Govinda Charana. You take shelter of Govinda Sharan. How? Sada Karo Ananya Bhajan. By doing unconditional, uninterrupted devotion to Lord Govinda, then everything achieved. There's another nice pastime, Once Nanda Maharaj, he says, I want to go to Prayag, So Mother Yashoda starts making, some footsteps so that, again, there were no hotels, right? So some things which can last for a couple of days. So Krishna, little Krishna, Baba, where are you going? He said, I am going to Prayag. Why you are going? He said, this is written in scriptures, we should go. We perform so many unknowingly sins, we need to cleanse. He said, wait, go after 3 days, Nanda Baba, So Nanda Baba, okay, Krishna, nobody can deny Krishna's request. And then in the Nandagram, there is a kund where Nanda Maharaj used to take bath every day. I think I'm forgetting the name, but so then Nanda Maharaj, early morning, he goes to take bath there, and he sees one black person entering the kund, his kund, and he comes back as a shining, bright, fellow. So Nanda Maharaj become curious. He said, I never saw you. Who are you? He said, I am, Tirtharaj Prayag personified. Everybody comes and dump their sin in, me, but I come once in a year, or he mentions duration, and I get rid of, my sins because you take bath here, oh Nanda Maharaj. So Nanda Maharaj was, so Krishna wanted him not to go, so Krishna did it in another way. So then Nanda Maharaj cancelled the whole plan. So this is show that for a devotee, going to pilgrimage is not required because they are completely surrendered unto Lord. But now in the current context, what Vidura is doing? He is on pilgrimage. Isn't it then contradictory? You are saying that don't go on pilgrimage, but why Vidura is going on pilgrimage, right? So answer to that is, again, Yudhishthir Maharaj, when Vidura comes back home, what he says? He says that, where is that verse? Again, it's from Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatas, Tirthe, the last two was Tirthe Kurvanti Tirthe Kurvanti Tirthani, Swantastena Gadavrita. Yeah, thank you. So he says that, oh Vidura, devotees like you are carrying Lord in your heart. You go to holy places. Why? To purify the holy places themselves. So for a devotee, it's not wherever we are, we can stay. We have Prabhupada has given us New Dwarka Dham. So If we are able to go Mayapur, Vrindavan, yes, Prabhupada said we should visit. But we take there, we get, charged, come back and do our service here. So that's the second point. And the third point about the different depths Prabhupada is talking, right? So again in Bhagavatam 11th canto, the verse comes, Devarshi nunam pitrunam nayam karoti kim karoti rajan sarvat mana nam sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam pariritya kartam. Yeah. So in that again he says that one who takes shelter of Lord Mukunda, he doesn't have to worry about all these depths. It's taken care. Again, like, the I think in third canto it comes, Yatha taror mula nishechanena tat skanda bhujopashakha pranopararthe cha yathendriyanam tathaiva sarvatmana achyutej. That the example is given as one pours the water, the root of tree, all the parts of the tree gets nourished. The same way, when we perform devotional service to Lord Mukunda, we are not worried about these depths. So what's in it for us as a sadhaka? Srila Prabhupada has given us this perfect process to achieve this pure devotional service. But within framework of ISKCON, again, there are devotees at various stages. So we need to be careful with whom we associate and from whom we take guidance, because that will determine how much benefit we are going to get from this beautiful process. There are many people who come to devotional service, Krishna consciousness, because they feel peaceful. Like suppose for example, somebody is driving a bike and he falls down. Naturally, devotees will go there, help him, bring him here, he'll make him sit, right? Give him water to drink. He'll feel relieved, right? Because there is a pain of that falling, right? So he is now here, but has he come here to, know about Rukmini Dwarkadesh? No. He has just come here to get some relief from the accident. So same way, many people, they come to devotional service to start with because material world is like blazing fire. And when they come in association of devotee, when they eat prasad, they feel really satisfied. But are they here for pure devotional service? Not yet. But if they just kind of, oh, this is so nice, let me be here around, be peaceful, they are not getting complete benefit of what Srila Prabhupada is offering. So, if he comes here and then inquires, okay, who is there standing in this beautiful 3-4 bending form? Who is next to her, him? And who is here dancing pose? Then, Adho Shraddha, then he'll start hearing. And then he'll progress in devotional service. So while doing there also, there's complete another topic. There's like, while practicing also, we have to be careful of so many things like Vaishnava Prad. We just heard in last class. So, unless we are very much careful and very much focused on what we are here for, it's very likely that Maya can put our trajectory in some other direction. So for example, there is a rocket, right? So it has to go in certain direction to reach its point. If we just change slightly 0.01% angle, what will happen? It doesn't feel much difference here, but in the long run, you are completely off the goal, right? So same way, while practicing devotional service for many years, we have to again and again remind ourselves, of course I am speaking this for myself particularly, what I am here for. Am I here to get post? Am I here to get name, fame, glory? Am I here to become a big scholar or to be known as a big scholar? Or am I here to purify my heart and chant offenselessly? So Jiva Goswami says, if we chant offenselessly and if we have perfect dealings, we'll go back to spiritual world. So how we can have perfect dealings? We need to understand these intricacies, about, Vaishnava dealings. And whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of what? Lord and it's dealing with his devotees. We see mother of Lord, Sachimata, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not give her Krishna Prem. Why? She offended Advaitacharya. Right? So even if a devotee is at that level, still he can be, kind of barred from the, entrance of spiritual world. Why? If we are not careful. There was Jagadanand Pandit. He tells to Sanatan Goswami, why you just leave Jagannath Puri and go to Vrindavan, because Lord is coming to hug you, and his body has impurities, right? Lord Chaitanya did not like what he did. He sent Jagadanand Pandit to Mayapur, away from him. So as we advance in devotional service, we need to associate with those devotees, even within ISKCON, who are very clear that their aim is follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions to the point. And they are not here for all this, name, fame, glory, same old story, right? So, unfortunately, we have so many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples here in New Dwarka who have dedicated their lives actually for this purpose. So, we had such an amazing examples. Other places is lacking. So, I particularly seek blessings that I should be able to take this association. All of us, we should take this association seriously and remind ourselves what we are here for. Otherwise, what happens? Though the Yadus were in association of Krishna in Dwarka, they had to get killed by getting intoxicated. Why? Little bit deviation, familiarity breed content. They started taking Krishna lightly. Of course, there are many other reasons also. Krishna wanted to wind up his pastimes and others, but we cannot just say it's all, it's Lord's pastime. Then what is in it for me? Why Lord did that pastime? Because he wants to teach us something. So with this, would like to stop. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhuji. Then Nekatma Prabhu and Raghupati Prabhu. Yeah. It's not working. Okay.
It's very instructive that we should come to the holy places with a mind to make spiritual advancement. When Lord Krishna went to Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse with the residents, they went and took bath.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so Prabhu was referring to when Krishna goes to Kurukshetra during solar eclipse. Krishna also tells that if somebody is going just to take bath in holy place, it is like taking, he's no better than, cow or ass, Sayeva Gokara. He says, and then he says, Prabhupada has mentioned, Prabhupada has established this holy place. We should not just come here to take darshan of lordships, but we should associate with each other, and that's why we can purify. Thank you for adding, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. I loved your class. Thank you very much. I have a little question and a bigger question. Okay? The little one is, so what I was hearing about pilgrimages is that really not necessary to go. That's you quoted that thing from Narottam Das Thakur. So my little question is, so Prabhupada instructed us to go to Mayapur and Vrindavan once a year. So, holy places. So what's the way to understand that? if it's not necessary, why is Prabhupada telling us to go to as many devotees as possible should go to Mayapur and Vrindavan once a year? That's the little question.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you know the answer, but still I'll try to reply. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us, again he said that, okay, you come to these holy places, you get charged spiritually, go back to your places and do your service. Because this is also part of devotional serving, say Sangha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that, let's start, say Sangha Bhramilo Range, Jesaba, Jesthana Gauranga. So he says that wherever Lord Chaitanya has visited, I'll visit in association of devotees, Pranay Bhakata Sangha, that Vaishnava song. So again, the point is, Prabhupada said that yes, go visit, but not alone, in association to get inspiration. So, and that too, once a year, just go, take inspiration, associate with devotees and come back. So that was for one's own spiritual nourishment he is mentioning. So this is not different from that. Again, the devotee association is there, and again, the places of Lord's, pastimes. So both things are there.
I have another, but I'll wait if somebody, can I ask the big one?
Yeah,
all right. So I got to preface this question by making the statement. So I love all the devotees. I appreciate the service of all devotees, okay? Now, in this verse, it was pointing out how there's the Nitya-siddha devotees who descend from the spiritual world, then there's sadhana devotees. Some of them are pure devotees, some of them mixed devotees, okay? So we have that, we're experiencing that within ISKCON. So my question is this, that, in the material world, we could see that it's not necessarily the most qualified people that are in positions of leadership. It's obvious that's what's happening in the material world. You don't have your most enlightened, intelligent people or well-motivated people as the leaders of different nations. It's obvious. Okay? So I think that and I hope I'm not getting myself in trouble by even, I think that's a phenomena that exists even within ISKCON. I mean, historically speaking, that it's not necessarily the most spiritually elevated people that wind up in our top positions of leadership. And once again, I'm not going to say that the people who are in positions of leadership are demons. No, but there's as pointed out in this verse, there's gradations, hierarchy of advancement in devotional service. And it seems like sometimes the most elevated people aren't in the most elevated positions. That's my perception anyway. And I don't know if that's correct. I might be an illusion thinking like that. It might be offensive even I'm thinking like that. But that's my impression. And I want to know, is that correct? And if so, how should one understand that?
Yeah. You want to answer, Prabhu, or should I? Yeah. Okay. Prabhuji's, yeah.
That's a very interesting comment. I would add to that Krishna has a plan to engage everyone in his devotional service. So everyone has their position and time and place to render service. For a so-called, well, quote-unquote, less advanced devotee who's washing the pots, there's a certain destiny that person has to go through and is making a spiritual advancement. That advancement is between them, the spiritual master, and Krishna. And by Krishna's arrangement, by the spiritual master's arrangement, you have a destiny to wash pots, or you have a destiny to be in a managerial position. But there's no difference, in my mind anyway.
Okay. So, okay.
Like most questions that we ask nowadays, these things have been discussed in the past. And the example Prabhupada would use is like that of the policeman. The policeman may not be obviously the most elevated guy in the law enforcement agency. He may not even be completely honest, but if he stops you and he tells you to do something, you have to do it. You have to do it. That's the law. And the devotees show that example in their lives. Whatever the civil leaders, civil authorities told them to do, they would do, as long as it didn't interfere with their devotional service. So no one can interfere with your devotional service. Under any circumstance, you can chant.
Right.
So practically speaking, like in ISKCON, if you are washing pots and the temple president comes and says, now I want you to stop washing pots and go out on Sankirtan, don't get into an argument, just do it. It's not like he's asking you to go to the market and steal or something. If somebody's giving you some practical devotional service to do that is authorized by the society, by Srila Prabhupada, do it. Or vice versa. If you're the book distributor out there, but the authorities say, now we need you to come to the temple and manage. That's the need right now. Do it. See, we like to get into arguments because we don't want any authority. This is why we stay here. Everybody wants to be their own authority. So we come up with all kinds of reasons why we should do that. I want to go on Harinam, but I want to do it my way. I don't want to do it the way it's been done traditionally or because somebody else said that. I've come up with this new style and I want to implement it and da-da-da-da-da. Everybody wants to do their own thing. And Prabhupada didn't like that. That creates chaos. There have been so many practical examples in our society where the leaders were going off and then the whole thing came to Prabhupada. And in one famous case, Brigapati was there in New York. Prabhupada said, the rank and file devotees have no, what's the word I'm looking for? Culpability in this whole arrangement because they were following authority, which they should do. But then he turned to the other leaders of the society and you should have done something because you were elevated enough to see that something was going wrong here. So in all circumstances, if you follow the authority sincerely, you are relieved from any responsibility. That's what you're supposed to do. Especially, again, you know the philosophy, and they're not asking you to do something against that philosophy. Like I gave those two examples. If you're a pot washer, you're told to go out in the Surya books, do it. Don't get into an argument. Now, you can give some reasons. Prabhupada allowed his disciples to discuss with him. You know, Prabhupada wanted somebody to go someplace, and they didn't want to go, and they discussed. And finally, if you're surrendered, then you go. It's not that you're a machine. You have feelings, you can discuss. But if the authorities finally decide do such and such, do it.
Yeah, thank you for adding. So my comment to that actually is that how I personally see is that yes, they are extending themselves, all who are in managerial role. That's not any rasa in there, but still they are doing to make sure Prabhupada's movement goes on. Now, some managers may inspire us spiritually. In that case, yes, we take their association. But if some devotees' managerial styles, somehow it doesn't suit with our psychophysical nature, then, as Arshita Prabhu said, yes, we follow what they said because, that's coming in parampara. But to take association, we may not be associating with them. We may be associating with like-minded devotees who give us spiritual inspiration. So it both ways. Yes, one thing we follow because we need to run the show, and then the other thing we have respect for them because they have taken that responsibility, and then the third thing, but if we are not getting inspired by their behavior, we won't associate with them. Rather, we associate with someone from whom we are getting positive spiritual nourishment. So that way we are not offending them, we are respecting their service. At the same time, their behavior and their dealings is not interfering with our spiritual advancement. So it's my 2 cents. So yeah, I think we are already over time. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.